Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. So, this is kind of a new thing where I am going to start streaming parts of my setup. We're playing War in the Pacific, Gary Grigsby's War in the Pacific AE. We are playing that. We are currently on December 12th, I believe. Yep, December 12th here. This is turn number 5. Now, usually what I'll do is I will go through everything that what happened the last turn, what we're trying to accomplish this turn, and resolve the turn. That would be a normal episode, and I will be doing that again tomorrow. But today, I usually have a day where I set up early on here. It's going to take a full day usually to set up things, uh, you know, in between other things that I have going on. It just takes, a day to get things set up and get ready for the next turn. Well, the other day I thought, hey, why not just go ahead and stream that? Because, somebody may find it useful. You may want to watch that. You may want to see how I approach the game. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to stream this. We are going to, go through sort of a different part of the map, maybe each time, a part of the map that I haven't looked at as closely or that I think people might find interesting. So this time, I think we're going to do China. I think we're going to go over to China and look around because we haven't talked a lot about China, and I just want to make sure that everybody has kind of a good grasp of what's going on over here. Let's first of all kind of take a grand overview of what's happening in China, and then I'm going to go down the Cull spreadsheet that I've now turned into my own Let's Play spreadsheet. And we'll go through each line item. I don't know if we'll get through them all. I plan on doing this for like an hour. Of course, this is going to be a lot slower than when I just go in and give things orders because we'll be talking about it, discussing it. And so let's do a grand overview. Now, of course, with War in the Pacific, it's a little more difficult to do a grand overview because you can't scoot out at all with the mouse wheel like you can with current games. Really, all that you have is this large snapshot. This does show us a little bit, right? It shows us that the Japanese have established themselves on the Chinese mainland, mainly up and through here. Now, well, I say up and through here and up and through here. Oh shoot, I forgot. I realized that for this game the cursor is off a little bit. Well, I'm not going to move the cursor around a lot. I don't want to confuse you. You can basically see the main two thrust areas that the Japanese have started, their assault into China, mainly in the center of the country there. They have pushed quite a ways into China. And, what are we going to do about that? Well, mainly we're going to play defense, especially at the start. Now, our main, I, I said this during the setup, and again, it's hard to do this without the cursor, but you see this main rail line that runs kind of northeast to southwest in China. I use that as my defensive line or where I'm really trying to hold up the Japanese as long as I can. And this rail line, now it does stop here at Changsha, and so, it's not completely contiguous, but it runs the majority of the length of the country from northeast to southwest. I look at that as our main defensive line, or, in my head, it just kind of is a mile marker, I guess you would say, as to how we're doing, where we're trying to stop the Japanese, where we're throwing up our defense. Now, we kind of have two different capitals at this moment. And that goes into the politics of China at the time. The Chinese communists were now active. They had actually there were some fighting between the communist and the nationalists. So there's two different groups. There's the nationalists, led by Chiang Kai-shek. There are the communists, led by Mao Zedong, and the communists are currently in Siam. And if you see these units that are coming down here to Siam, they will eventually be all red Chinese units. If we look at this unit, you'll see General Mao Zedong, the Red Chinese Army. Now we are sending them up to Yan'an, and we're going to have all of the Red Army, all of the communist Chinese up at Yan'an. Now they're not that numerous. There are, I think, three or four. Well, let's go look at Yan'an really quickly. Um, this is not one. This is not one. Okay, let's go find one. They're around here somewhere, and they may be following along. Now that's Mao Zedong. Are they all at Cyan? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to look around until we find them. And we will find these red Chinese units because they are right around here on the map. And I guess I could go search for them, but I'm not going to do that right now. Huh. Why can I not find them? Well, we'll find them as we go down the spreadsheet. The point being is that Mao Zedong, Red Chinese Army, you have like 4 or 5 units that are part of the Red Chinese Army. And we've currently got him moving to Yan'an, and that's where we'll have all the Red Chinese Army elements, or units, I should say units. Everything else is the nationalists, and the nationalists, where are we going to be trying to set up a defensive perimeter? Well, we could go up here to kind of the north up here. Pao Tao is one place, okay? So we'll be at Pao Tao up here in this northern quadrant. We will let the red Chinese hold Yan'an, or try to anyway. Now here, as we get a little further south, is where it becomes very vital and important we hold on. I'm speaking specifically of Loyang and Changchao. And so we've got this nice defensive river in front of those two bases. We are going to try to buff those up as much as we can. Now, if you look at that area, there aren't a lot of good places for the Japanese to go. They kind of have to come over here. We, at Chengchao especially, we hold that railway that keeps the Japanese from supplying from north to south. And so it's just critically important. Now, we could fall back to Nanyang here, but it's not nearly as good or defensible. For one thing, we don't have a river in front of us that the Japanese would have to attack over. For another, it's not on the railway. And so we are going to try to hold on to Chengchao and Loyang both as kind of complementing each other for as long as we can. As we get a little, if we look a little further north up here, you have Cyan, this Cyan, Nanyang. I look at those as kind of fallback positions. Um, then we get down here to Xinyang. Now, Xinyang, when I say down here, so down here on my screen, I'm going to try to do it offset to the left here a little bit, but you can see Xinyang here. It's labeled on the map. We're going to also try to hold that. Well, I say hold it. It's a Japanese base right now. We are eventually going to attack that with everything we can and try to take Xinyang back. Uh, Now, as we move a little further south, really Changsha is the central hub of everything. It's the northernmost part of this rail line that is very important. And so Changsha, again, it's super important. It would be more helpful if it was on the other side or on the west side of the river. It's on the east side. What are we going to do? You've got to hold Changsha. You can't just say, oh, well, we're going to let the Japanese have that because it's not perfectly situated where we would like the river to help us with defense. Changsha is an urban area that will help with defense. As you move further south, then you see Guilin, you see Kukong. Those are also they're the more southern elements of that railway. We are going to try to hold on to those for dear life. Now, if we get into the grand, bigger picture, we have Chungking back here. Chungking is kind of our capital in exile. Um, well, I shouldn't say that because Beijing is controlled at this point by the Japanese. I just don't know historically whether Chungking was the capital going into the war. It operate, and I don't even know if politically it was the capital during the war. I will say this: this is where all of our reserve units come into, is Chungking. This is where our national reserve is, and it operates kind of as a staging base for all Chinese forces. If we go even further west, we've got the Burma Road that, of course, is incredibly important to hold on to. Paoshan down to is that Kunming? Yes, Kunming. And we do have some planes at Kunming, a few. One thing I did this turn, and I had already or I did it in a previous turn, and maybe didn't mention it on our regular turn, is that I did move all bombers that I could back to Chungking because you just do not need bombers out here. The Japanese have complete air superiority. There's no reason to let them die. We did run an air mission against a bombing mission uh, previously out here, kind of an offensive bombing mission. We will not be doing that very often, and so I've moved them back to Chungking. Uh, and Chungking has a ton. Let's just go look at Chungking very quickly. You see all of these units, right? And we need to start moving these fighters out to where they can be helpful eventually. And we'll get to moving those. You see here, we also have the Flying Tigers up here at Chungking. They are connected to the Chinese Air Force at this point. We have the other two units of these down at Rangoon, but we've got them here to hopefully fly some cap, because one of the problems you have as the Chinese is that the Japanese can just bomb the ever-living crap out of you, so it disrupts your troops. Your troops are already not as good. They don't have as good of equipment. They do have a lot of manpower, but they're not well trained. They do not have great experience or morale, and so they very quickly start to get worn down, especially if the Japanese are bombing them strongly. And so we just have to be very aware of that. So I'm going to look over here on the spreadsheet, and we will start going down the spreadsheet and looking at individual units. Okay? Um, Give me just 1 second. I want to make sure that I've got the spreadsheet set up here the way I want to have it. And let's start with, so I'm going to go straight down Cole's spreadsheet. I have not messed with his spreadsheet in China much. I was always planning on catching up the spreadsheet with that. When I say I put in all the original orders, but in China, those first 4 or 5 turns, everything is marching sort of where you wanted it to march for their original orders. And so I just haven't gone back and updated it, and that's why I wanted to do it this turn. Um, Now, the first unit that he has is an LCU at 7156. So let's go find this. It's going to be down here, 7756. 7150. Oh, and this just went to battle with a Japanese ground unit. We saw this battle last time. We've spotted 5,500 troops of theirs. We have approximately 8,000, maybe a little bit more than 8,000. As a matter of fact, we got the better of the Japanese here. Now, we don't have any kind of fortress level. They did attack across the way here. Oh, I guess that's not a river. That's actually out of Indochina that they attacked. And this unit is eventually, Cole has this as no action. It's going to be falling back to Nanning, which doesn't have a ton of defensive posture here. And so, one thing that I want to do with them is we're not going to have them move. We're just going to keep them in combat mode. But we are going to have them start moving towards Nanning. We don't want them to get trapped behind the Japanese. Now, that would be hard to do. The Japanese, essentially, we're in the same hex. And so we're going to leave it on defend. Now, you see, future objective is already set to Nanning. And so we are going to be falling back to Nanning, the base of Nanning. So we've put that in. We've got a march order in. We will continually be looking at that unit. It's important. So I will put that in green and I will just type marching to Nanning. And when it gets there and we're set up there, we will probably turn that to orange on our spreadsheet and say, okay, it is where it is, and we're probably not going to move it unless it gets knocked back. Because eventually, it all may come back to Lu Chao. Lu Chao is the real important one here as things start getting moved back. It's the important place. It's on the railway. It's on the other side of the river there. And so, eventually that may all fall back that direction. That reminds me of these units down here at Pakoi. At Pakoi, we might start moving them up to Le Chao this turn as well, but we'll get to that when we get to that. The next unit is at 7659. And so that's going to be 5 this way. I bet you it's this unit. And that is this unit, 7659. Now, Cull has no action on this. I actually already have this marching. Okay, and you'll see here it's marching to Wu Chao. Now, it is part of the 16th Group Army. The 16th Group Army base is at Lu Chao. Here it is, or I'm sorry, Wu Chao. Here it is. And so we're going to, set this to green because we're going to monitor it. So we need to look at it kind of every turn. And I'm going to type in marching to Wu Chao. Okay, and when we come down the spreadsheet in the future for the next turn, we can check when it gets to Wu Chao, we will probably turn that orange. Now you see the divot, where the divot is in that unit is showing us that it is marching to the northwest up that minor way that you see there. It's a minor highway, and we'll then eventually get up to Wu Chao. Let's see how far it's got to go, how far it has gone. It has gone 8 miles. Now we have it in combat mode. Actually, let's change that to move mode. We probably won't get bombed out here. We want it to move faster. It's got 92 miles to go. It was only going 8 miles a day in combat mode, and that was slowing it down. Um, there's not much of a chance we're going to get attacked where they can get across the river and attack us before we can get out of here and up to Wu Chao. You see the Japanese already have a force that could potentially be moving north to Wu Chao, and so let's get that group up there. Now the next unit is at 7758, okay, and that is right next door. Oh, yes, this unit has already gotten knocked back to Wu Chao. Okay. Um, and Cole says now this unit needs a garrison. You see the garrison requirement at Wu Chao. This is the 7665th. Okay, great. So it's this unit. It has already arrived in Wu Chao. We have its objective set as Wu Chao, which is good. Um, but we need to set this to combat now that it's at where it needs to go. We set the operations mode to combat. It's at Wu Chao. Now, Cole says the base force, the Wu Chao base force, can leave. I'm not going to do that because I want fortifications being built here at Wu Chao. The reason he says that is these units can eventually either go to Kukong or up here to Li Chao. Uh, which are more important locations, right? They're on the railway. But I want to defend Wu Chao for as long as we can anyway. They can always fall back once they start getting defeated in battle. And so this unit is already where it needs to be. Again, he put that in, that there might be a different move with the base force that's there at Wu Chao, but I'm going to make this unit orange, showing that this is where. Um, oh, hey, Bayard, how's it going? Always glad when you tune in. Bayard of the very good comments always has a lot of useful information, especially for new players. I always do appreciate that, Bayard. Of course, there's only so many things you can say on a stream, and for you to type those up, I really do always appreciate that. It adds a lot to the content, so thanks for that. Um, so we're here at Wu Chao. Let's turn that orange. So that's the third unit down. It's the 62nd Chinese Corps. Now let's move to the 56th Chinese Corps. That is at 7945. Now you'll notice that the way Cole set this up is he did it from the first node or the way he set it up in order is he moved from sort of west to east of units that are not in bases, and he goes from then top to bottom. So we started with the 78s here. Now we're going to go to the 79s. So we need to go to 7945. That's 47. It's very possible. Oh, that one's 44. Okay, what is this group? So we're looking for the 56th Chinese. There it is. It's already moved 45 miles out of the 368 that it should be moving. It's going to Tuyun. So let's look at why. Now, this is up here past the mountains. So this is a mountainous region that leads to the plateau up here where Chungking is located. And so this unit started in this 7945 hex here. It is now moving to the west. It's moving up the major highway, and eventually it's going to come all the way down to Tayun. And so, it's got quite a journey on the way. Um, okay, I mean, it's on the march. It's doing what we want it to do. You just want to make sure that it's in move mode, and it is in move mode so that we're going fast enough. I'm going to go ahead and set that to orange. So, I mean, there's really no reason we need to look at that. It's marching, it's doing what it should do. Now, 7958 is the next unit. That is this is the next unit. It's the 63rd Chinese Corps. It's located at 7958. And so let's go find 7958. Back 4, 7958. There it is. Okay, so this is the 63rd Chinese Corps. It should be ID number 7666. And indeed it is. Now we have set its future objective as Kukong, okay? And I set this on the march. Um, Cole did not have this marching. The reason being, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it if you want to do this. Now you'll see these units are all underserved here, right? If we put on replacements and we go to the pool and stop stockpiling, to the extent we have them. Chinese rifle squads, for instance, it will start filling these units up, but we have to be a little selective with that because, well, all of these Chinese units need a lot, right? I mean, let's go look at the TOE for this. So right now we have 154 that are good. We have 65 that are damaged. Um, and you see here the ideal TOE here, 729. Well, so this unit alone would take, almost well over 500 rifle squads, Chinese rifle squads. So they're severely underserved here at the start of the game. And I think they did see a little battle. I think they already got knocked back a little bit. Maybe now I can't remember. No, he's got him starting here. So they just started out with damaged. This war has been going on for some time, over 4 years at this point, if you count it as starting in 1937, which is kind of the official start of the war historically. Although, as we discussed in the comments on the China setup episode, there was a lot that went on between like 1931 and 1937, but officially the war kicked off then. Yeah, Bayard, yeah, Taiyun, the start of the main Chinese rail line. Uh, And yes, the TOE really can be something. 729 rifle squads, and right now we're operating with 154 that are ready and available. So we've got a lot of filling out to do. Those will never get filled unless you keep off reinforcements for almost everything and just try to fill specific individual ones. And we may do some of that. I mean, it depends where we are. At Chen Chao, potentially, but we'll see. So yeah, this unit is moving back to Kukong. They are part of the 12th Group Army. The 12th Group Army is located at Kukong. So of course we will get, that's the 7th War Area. Here's the 12th Group Army. They do have a command radius of 1, so our unit is now in command radius, but it's going to go back to Kukong and try to set up the major defense here at the southern end of this main Chinese rail line. Um, okay, so it's marching where it should. I'm going to make that orange as well. Let's go to the 65th Chinese Corps, which is located at 8059. Okay. Let's see. This would be it. Now we have this on move mode, marching to 8158. So one here, one there. It's going here to 8158 as we have it now. Yep, it's gone 12 of the 92 miles it will need to march. We do have it on move mode. Again, a severely understrength core, but hey, it's something. We got something. So it's going here on that major highway link. We may eventually pop it up here to Consine. Let's see. This is part of the 12th Group Army as well. Now, interesting. Okay, so actually we would probably not take it here. We would take it to Kukong, where its group headquarters is. As a matter of fact, I'm not really sure why we're not doing that. Anyway, I think we're just doing this as kind of a stopover here. Once it gets here, so I'm going to leave that green and put a note, march to Kukong, because I think that's eventually. I always like to congregate and aggregate all of these Chinese forces to the best of my ability. And so I'm going to say march to Kukong once it gets where it's going. Um, Okay, now we're going to go look at the 18th Chinese Corps, which is at 8149. So if we go up about 10, yeah, so there it is. Hey, I guessed right. This one, Cole had said move mode, march to 8249. If needed, join the attack. Now I did not do this. And we'll talk about why for a second. So it's part of the 20th Group Army. Here is the 20th Group Army. The Japanese pulled out of Aicheng. So there's Aicheng. The Japanese pulled out. They, you know, right, right. Yeah, that's good info, Bayard. Forts are not only built at bases, but any stationary LCU will begin building fortifications wherever it settles. If it has, if it has engineers, it will build them up. The more engineers, the faster. Um, and of course, it will build up your defensive measures. Very good point. Um, Oh, anyway, so at Aicheng, the Japanese actually built or pulled built pulled out here. This was the unit. You see it scurrying away to Hankow. So it's moving south on the highway. So we really didn't need this extra unit to be moving here. at this unit right here, it actually could fall back behind the river. We may do that. There's no reason to really move it right now. It's sitting here in this hex. It's on a major highway. Um, it's not needed to attack I Cheng, but it's also not needed to really do anything else. So we're going to sit there. We'll look at it again in the future, and so I'm going to put it as green because it might be something that we want to look at. The next one down is the 87th Chinese Corps. That is located at 8149, but I think it's no longer there. It's moved far enough. So the 87th Chinese, that's not it. Okay. What do we have here? That's the one we just looked at, the 18th. Well, it should now I could go search. Oh, I think this may be it actually. It's been moving down the road there. There it is. 87th Chinese Corps. The reason it's moving is because we are taking it to Changsha. We are setting the objective as Kukong. So once it gets to Changsha, we are going to rail it. So here it's coming in, it's coming down the major highway there. You can see the hex hopefully here um, that it's moving down. It's going to be at Changsha very shortly. It's moved 27 of the 46 miles. You'll always see 46 miles is to move one hex on land. They're 40 nautical miles, 46 land miles. It's moved 27, so it's moving along at a good clip on that major highway. Next turn, it should probably be at Changsha, but we've set its future objective as Kukong, and we're going to move it down there. It's part of the 20th Group Army, which is very interesting because we have the 12th down here. Is the 20th? That's the 29th. That's the 27th. Was the 20th here that we just looked at? It is here. So we're essentially peeling this group off and sending it to Kukong because that's really where it's more needed down there. And if we look at the combat value here, 348. This is a really massive core for the Chinese. The reason being is we have 316 ready units. Um, and so it's really got a nice build there. Oh, hey Bayard, I was going to ask you, how does the video look today? Can you see? I know that you had said that the video playback for you the other day off the live stream looked like it was just, the video quality wasn't as good as you would have liked. So just let me know, or anybody else on the stream for that matter, how the video. I mean, on my screen it looks good, but it always looks good. Otherwise, I would, stop and fix it. So just let me know. Anyway, so these guys are part of the 20th Group Army. In some respects, we're going to send them down to Kukong and give up the commander advantage. Um, 540p. Okay. I mean, does it look okay? Because I don't think that I can necessarily get it any better, at least on Twitch. Maybe I could screw around with something on YouTube. But anyway, we're going to kind of give up the commander advantage, or eventually we could transfer. Well, we can't actually. We cannot. Sorry, we cannot buy them out. And so, this Chinese Corps is just going to be away from its command group because we need that nice 348 down here at Kukong. We've got to make sure we don't forget to do that. They need to be at Kukong as soon as we can get them there. So that has got to be green. You maybe even want to start doing a high alert color if you want to, that to say next turn that has got to get on the rail to Kukong. Okay, let's move on to the 73rd Chinese Corps, which is at 8151. It was originally here in the hex we were just looking at. It has now made it to Changsha. So this is the 73rd Chinese Corps. It should be right there, and it is. We'll take that out of move mode. It has now arrived. We've got the right future objective. It's going to sit here. It's part of the 20th Group Army as well. So its command force is still up here at this base. It's 2 away. Let's actually instead. Normally I would make that orange. I don't see us moving that out of Changsha, but it is 2 hexes away from its core headquarters now, which means it's out of command radius. I do not like that in China. You need all of the advantages you can get. So for that, I am going to leave that green. Now we have a bunch. We have the 26th Group Army, the 2nd Chinese Corps, the 36th. These guys are all at 8247 marching on I Cheng. So that would be right here. They need to get on the move. I let them sit for a turn or two actually, because we have this group, and once the Japanese pulled out, I just left them here. But now we're going to do a group order to come here. So this unit will march directly to Aicheng. This is the headquarters unit. Now we're going to set all, make sure everybody's in the move operations mode. Okay. We'll make sure, now they're all going to be in defend anyway, but we'll go ahead and hit that for combat orders, and we're going to set all to follow. So they're all going to follow the 26th Group Army Corps headquarters, all of these units, and that's what we have them doing. So it should be the 75th, the 68th, just making sure, the 67th, the 45th, the 32nd, and the 2nd. Okay, perfect. We got them all. They're all marching to Aicheng. We will leave those green because I'll want to come back and look at them once they get to Aicheng and we take that base. Um, and establish our, a Chinese dominance over that base, we will want to decide if we want to break those up, move those around, because there are other important places close. We could even rail or move one of the cores. Well, Aicheng is important. Obviously, it's on this major highway. We do have Japanese in the area, but we may want to look over here to Chengchao and maybe rail a core up there or two. So we'll just have to look at that. Um, and therefore, it's green. 8248 is next, the 94th. This is 8347. This is 8348. And that's 8248. We have them. So the 94th is moving out. They are moving to Changsha. Okay, great. Its move and its objective is as it needs to be. We'll leave that green though, because it's, well, let's turn that orange. It's going where it should be going. That's all we need to know right now. The next is the 8th Chinese Corps. The 8th Chinese Corps is at 8249. This should be the 8th Chinese Corps. It is indeed. If needed, join the cross river attack on Aichang. It is not needed. It is part of the 20th Group Army as well. And so its headquarters is right back here. We have already identified that's where the 20th Group Army is. This unit is just not really needed here. We have so much going to Aichang that's on this side of the river. Now, you could have on this west side of the river this unit kind of be a fallback type position, but we're just going to have so many units there that what I'm actually going to do is put this in move mode, and I'm just going to move it back here with its headquarters. Again, I liked, so Chengte, now its objective was Aicheng. We're going to just move it back here. I like to keep all these things congregated to the extent that I can. We are going to leave this green because we will need to move it off of move mode, which reminds me, uh, anything that you still have moving, you're going to have to go set to combat mode again. And so really, actually, I said the unit right above this to turn orange, move that back to green, because we will have to go and put that back on combat, or you could put it on rest and training if you wanted to. They're not going to be needed for a while, at least. They may eventually be needed, but we're just going to sit them back here with their group headquarters. Um, Bayard says he doesn't like the follow command. I've never had a problem with it. Yeah, you change the difference for the leader. You change the leader. They're on follow. Um, yeah, I hear you. If you want to go through and individually set those up, Bayard's basically saying that follow command. It can either get a little confusing, or if all of a sudden you forget that you have it on, could lead to some problems for sure. 99th Chinese Corps at 8251, so it's going to be down here potentially. 8251, 8151. Well, it can't. Yeah, we already moved this out. It came to Changsha. Okay, and so this is the 99th. Let's go down here and make sure it's on combat mode. So it has arrived at its destination. It is on combat mode, so that's great. It just moved from this, the hex just northeast of Changsha into Changsha, and we've got everything the way we want it. We can go orange there. 26 Chinese Corps is at 8253, we're saying. It has already moved as well. We had this go to 8254, so it's right down here. Now we could establish a base here if we attack. Um, I don't see, we've got that sitting here. Okay, it's got its future objective as Changsha. Um, I'm just going to let that sit here for now. That's fine. Let's put it in combat mode. So if it does get attacked, it's just sitting at the junction of this minor highway and major highway. It's fine where it is. It's not in danger or even close to danger right now. If the Japanese start moving this way, we'll probably move this north up to Changsha. It is part of the 29th Group Army. Okay, great. I'm going to leave this one green because I'm going to keep looking at it. It's not clear to me necessarily what we should, um, do with this going forward. It's just kind of sitting here, kind of wherever we need it. Um, the Ninth Provincial Chinese Corps. Okay, that's at 8255, or at least it was. We've now told it to go to 8260, 80, 82, 8255. That's it. Okay. So we're looking for the Ninth Provincial Chinese. Nope. Is it this one? Yeah, I'm a little too far over here. I think it's these guys. Yeah. Ninth Provincial Chinese. Great. Okay. So we've got them, or we were supposed to have them on the move to 8260. We did not do that. And you may say, really? Why didn't you do that? Well, I've gone back and forth. I play this a little differently than Cole does. Usually, I've always got all of these Chinese units in the southeastern part of the country falling back along the major highway here, all the way back across the river, because as I say, my main goal is to hold this railway both on the north and the south. So I have them all falling back. So having this go from 82, I'll click on it again, 8255, going 5 clicks south is going to put it down here. I just don't normally play that way. I would have it come here to Cancine mainly, maybe, or just have it hold this hex. It's on the west side of the riverbank. We can drop things back to it. And so I have just not done anything with this unit. I've got it sitting there. It's part of the 30th Group Army. Is that what's at Can? Oh, we don't have a group headquarters there. Is this, no, we don't have the 30th there. Where is the 30th Group headquarters? Here it is. Yeah, 30th Group Army is a couple, it's two to the east, one to the north. It's right there. It's kind of doing the same holding pattern on that major highway there, just the one to the north. I'm just going to leave this be, but I'm always going to say, let's come back and take a peek next time around. See if we want to do something different. So that will be green. Um, so let's go to up here by I Chang again and look at these next units. So we have the 33rd Group Army, which is part of the Third War area, and all of its, corps underneath. We also have some things of the 27th. Well, we'll get to those in a minute. So everything in the 33rd Group Army is supposed to be up at 8347. And so we know that we need to come back one and up about 7. And there it is. We've got the 33rd Group Army. We also have the 29th Chinese Corps and the 59th Chinese Corps. And, the plan was to march these to Aichang, which we're doing. So we've got more things on the way to Aichang. Now, its future objective was already set to Puchang. And so, we have not moved that. Let's go find Puchang. I think it's been taken. Is this? No, that's Hangzhou. Wuchang. Is that Xinyang? Hmm. Where is Puchang? Well, let's go look. Do we control Puchang at the moment? I'll tell you, out in China, sometimes I just have to go look. I don't, have a Chinese Rolodex in my head of exactly where all of these bases are. Puchang. Okay, we still control it. Oh gosh, it's all the way down here. Huh. Well, that's interesting. The game started with this being its preferred destination. Okay. Seems like an odd place for it to be going. Now, where were we again? We were at 8347. So, right, that's 82. That's 83. So it's these guys heading to Aichang. Obviously, their objective should be Aichang. Now, you could set it to Xinyang or one of the other Japanese. We'll set them all to Aichang. Are the other ones? No, the other ones are Aichang. Well, that's weird. So the 33rd, okay, it's in the third war area. Where is our third war area right now? Is that to the south and the east, and that's why it's showing it that way? Well, we're about to find out. Let's go to out of all nations. Let's go to Chinese and let's go look for the third war area. There's the second war area. It's always a. Oh, come on. There we go. It is actually at well, it says it's at Pucheng, but it's not. It's Chusen. Huh. So wow, this really got separated. These guys got separated. I mean, they're all the way up here at Aichang. They're what is kind of the equivalent to like their army group headquarters. They call it war areas in China. Um, so this is like their army headquarters. Is all the way down here. We are not going to be going. I mean, there's just, for one thing, it's hard to get down there. It would take a long time, and I don't see any reason to go down there. Um, okay, they're all going to be set at Aicheng now. Uh, well, oh, I don't want to say, I don't want to reset the third war area. Yeah, I thought I was still up here. Let's go back to them. Okay, they're all going to Aicheng. Cool, fine. It is what it is. Um, Yeah, we'll keep them on move. 24 or 46, they should arrive really next turn. So they're going where they're supposed to. I'm going to turn them to orange. There's no reason for them to ever really move out of there unless they get forced out of there. Next, we're going to go to the 20th Chinese Corps. That is at 8351. So it's supposed to be there, but it was on the move. We moved it to 8352, which is actually right here. So that was its only orders, 20th Chinese Corps. There they are. They're sitting here kind of as a screening group for the larger and more important Changsha, of course. Uh, Sometimes you'll want to do this. You'll want to leave what I would call a screening force out here. The reason is the Japanese have to attack them first. You may disrupt some of their troops when they do that, and it makes the next attack not nearly as powerful. And so if you set up kind of these tripwires as they move to Changsha, they're going to get disrupted. They're going to lose some morale potentially. You're going to just wear them down naturally and take out some things. And by the time they get to Changsha, hopefully they're just not as good of a fighting force. So I don't see any reason to move those. We can turn that orange because they are going to stay there. If they do engage in battle with the Japanese, they can then always fall back to Changsha. They are part of the 27th Group Army. The 27th Group Army, I believe, is here in the city. Sure enough, it is. There it is. And so it is within command radius. It's one away. It will start, building up its natural fortifications, digging in, so to speak, right there. Now the next one's 8352 at that hex. It's the 37th Chinese Corps. I think we just saw that here. Same deal. It's part of the 27th, so they're part of the same core or same. Uh, their cores are together as part of the same army group. Um, Great. Okay, it's just going to stay right there. No reason to do. Oh, wait a minute. Did we turn move off here? We did not. Turn that to combat. Turn them to combat. Okay, great. Now we can go orange with that one. We've got it in the proper mode. The next down is at 8353. It's the 72nd. Yes, the 72nd. So at 8353 should be one click south, but we did move it. It's moved to 8454, which is right here. Okay, great. Um, it's the 76th or 72nd. It's part of the 30th Group Army, which is also here. We're going to leave them right here. We're not going to do anything with them. Let's get them on combat mode. Let's get that on combat. Let's get that on. Okay, everything's good, and we will orange that out. They are where they need to be. The first Chinese Corps is next up. It is at 8441. It is marching to Cyan. We close? No, nowhere close. Hold on. 8440. There's 8642. All right. 83. There we go. 8441. All right. It's already made it to Cyan, it seems. The first Chinese Corps. So we had them marching here. There they are. We'll put them in combat mode. Cyan is their objective. Okay, perfect. Everything is as it needs to be. We can turn them orange. They will be sitting here unless we decide for some reason to maybe counterattack or do something else with the Japanese. Um, all right, where are we next? 36 Chinese Corps. That is located at 8442. And now you can start to see he moves from north to south, one rank over on the columns, right? So now we're into the 84s and 8442. That's where the 36th Chinese was originally. We're marching that to 8547. So actually, it's going quite a bit south. I think it's probably this unit here. We're looking for the 36th. There it is. It's on its way. Um, Now interesting. We have its objective as cyan, I guess on the idea that it could always retreat back there, but really that doesn't make much sense, does it? We're going all the way to 8547. So we're going another 4 down. We're going to like here. Interesting. Okay, so we're building up down here to attack Sin Yang. I think we should go ahead and make the objective here Sin Yang because really, I mean, that's what we're going for, right? It's obvious. We're bringing it to one click north of Sin Yang. I say one click, in military speak, that's a mile. It's not 1 mile, it's one hex. That's just how I talk. It doesn't really mean what what you would think it means. Um, these guys are also going, they're just going to 8545. Okay, so they're not going as deep. What these troops are doing, besides, threatening down here at Sin Yang, They are also protecting this major highway from Sian to Xinjiang so that the Japanese don't have a breakthrough there. It's also kind of a backup plan if you do lose Changchao or Luoyang. They can start to fall back to that line, although eventually you would probably have to fall back behind this river, but it starts to get mountainous back here, which could be an advantage as a defender, but by the time you've lost that much, you're allowing the Japanese to run a supply line that really encompasses all of the northern part of China. Well, that's kind of the central part of China, the northern part of our map right here. But really, if you look at all of China, it's kind of the central part, right? Um, so yeah, they're moving down there. That's fine. They're on their way to 8547. I will keep them green because I do think that we could potentially mount an attack on Xinjiang. That is a place I would like to take, a base I would like to take. That would further crimp the Japanese supply effort to all of their armies that are a little further south from there. We can start to maybe starve some of them out down there. Now they do have it moving from east to west, but we're trying to stop the north-south movement of supply. Nanyi, okay, the next one we go to 8447. This is the 55th Chinese. Um, they were originally down this way, if we can get there. Come again, it was the 8447. So they were, well, there's 85, there's 84. Nope, wrong. There's 8447. Okay, gosh. The 55th and the 77th. That's what should be here. There's the 55th, there's the 77th. Perfect. We have them marching. They are marching to Nanyang. Okay, let's look at kind of the strategic implications of that. Okay, that's great. We're just buffering up that zone back here. We're hoping to take Aichang down here with all of these other troops. Now, we could leave these guys. I mean, they're pretty decent cores here. We have a 166 and a 160. Well, they're not great. 166, 163, but we're really going to buff up Nanyang there. They are part of the second group army. Are they both? Yep, they're both part of the second group army. Let's see if Nanyang contains. No, it has the 22nd group. Okay, where is the second group army then? Is it here? Probably. There it is. Interesting that we're going to take them all the way to Nanyang. Now, I see why we're getting them out of the hex that they're in. Hmm. I think let's look at these orders again. I'm not sure. Oh, I see. Hold on. I'm looking at the wrong guys. It's the guys back here, but I'm not sure why they're not coming here. Now, this unit, where's it going? It's going to 8547. Okay, so it's going to the unit, it's going there with that second group army. Why don't we aggregate all these guys? I don't want them going to Nanyang. Let's have them go to here where their sister unit is going and they're all meeting up. They're all part of the second group army. Let's have them go here. Yeah, let's do that. And just in case the Chinese are, or I mean the Japanese, excuse me, are getting any ideas, let's switch them to combat mode. It's going to be slower, I get that, but that's okay. Um, I just don't want them to get attacked. Now they will automatically, well, that's right, they will automatically switch to combat mode. Let's keep them in move mode. My bad. Let's go up here. They would switch. I think I have to look at that again. I think they do get caught off guard if they get attacked, but the Japanese would have to move into the hex first, and we would have one turn warning that they will, would be able to attack the next turn. So we're going to do that. And with that, our hour is up. I really wanted to keep this to an hour. Oh, and for that, let's turn those green and let's say March to let's turn that green and let's say march to hex 8547. All right, March to 85.47. Okay. And like I said, keep that green because we'll need to go look at that. But that's how I'm moving through China. That's how I'm thinking about things. As you can see, I generally am following the spreadsheet early on here, but I do have some different ideas, and you will have some different ideas as you go through it. I mean, when you look at the map, you say, hey, why aren't we protecting this major highway? Or why are we taking these troops to Nanyang? Why don't we leave them down here closer to Xinjiang where we could maybe mount a counterattack or something like that. So just always keep those things in mind. But this is a blast. I like doing the live stream of the setup. If you stopped by, thank you so much. Bayard, thanks a lot. Um, yeah, as you said, if it gets caught in move mode, you will suffer heavy losses. I don't think we have a problem here because well, we can get into that next time. I'm gonna have to cut it off here. I have to go back to my day job. So anyway, I have to say goodbye. But thank you guys so much for dropping by. If you watch this later, I will be doing this every other day. So yesterday I forgot what day it was, but I do believe today is Wednesday. Somebody can tell me if that's wrong. I'm even going to look at my phone now. Yes, it is Wednesday, January 20th. I will be doing this again on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific if you want to watch. I'm going to continue doing this later on today, not on the live stream, but to set up our turn 5 resolution, our normal episode that I do on the channel. But I'm really enjoying doing these live streams. So I'm going to be doing this every other day at 10 a.m., at least on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay, so on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m., stop by. Always appreciate it. Strategy Gaming Dojo.